Creative Assembly, in conjunction with Games Workshop and the author David Goymer, released today a short story about the new Legendary Lord coming with the next DLC, which of course is Cathay and Kislev versus Tzeentch. The story talks about Yuanbo, the Jade Dragon, another Celestial Dragon sibling, Legendary Lord who's going to be coming with the next DLC, which means no Monkey King. Some people are a little disappointed about that, including myself, but honestly it's fine. The short story was pretty cool, and it seems to strongly indicate, if not completely confirm as well, that we're getting the Changeling for Tzeentch, which is very cool. So in honor of that, today I'm actually fighting my own battles once again, trying to get prepped for the DLC here, facing off against Rider of Rohan's Cathay. I'm, of course, coming in with Tzeentch. Got an Exalted Lord of Change with no spells. Yep, just the Fury Summon instead. I've got this Cultist leading the way on his Shrine here. He's going to be the main spellcaster. The Shrine gives him a huge amount of HP. He's got Lore of Fire here, and the idea is you're going to use this Wand of Whimsy to buff up this nice, huge, wide army of Blue Horrors. We've got some Marauders, a couple of Forsaken as well, plenty of Flyers with 3 Furies and 2 Screamers. Rider Rohan coming in with a nice mixed Cathayan force. He's got the Righteous Lances of Wei Jin and a Dragon-Blooded Shugengan leading the way. Jade Lancers on the flanks with some Grain Gunners and a Rocket Battery. Fire Rain Rockets there, some Jade Warriors through the center. A couple of Shotguns, looks like 3 Shotguns, and Jade Halberds in the back. So let's get things rolling. Yeah, the short story was definitely pretty good. I definitely enjoyed reading it, and it's gotten me reasonably excited for this DLC. Of course, this has been sort of a very loreful matchup from what Creative Assembly and Games Workshop have wanted to portray. Seems like Tzeentch definitely has a special relationship, you could say, with Cathay, but I'm going to immediately swoop in on my left, try and engage some of these cavalry and the Iron Hail Gunners at close range. We're going to get the Fury Summon as well, and it's just a full court attack, if you will, full court press. Forsaken rushing in there. We've got the Blue Horrors also just roasting in fire, and they're going to be just casting some spells to get Kindle Flame, and of course that Wand of Whimsy momentarily. So the initial rush is pretty good, but I definitely took some damage on that approach there. And Rider Rohan's going to counterattack on its right flank with these cavalry, get a nice charge in here to the Blues. Lots of fire in the background there as I focus the Blues shooting as much as possible on shutting down the Iron Hails and the Crane Guns. Definitely don't want any of those gunpowder units shooting as much as possible. There's a lot of infantry, obviously, still for Cathay. Lots of Jade Warriors, Jade Halberds here, doing a great job of holding the line, of course. But, yeah, a little bit of lag here on this. I'm not sure exactly why. Yeah, not sure about that performance. Not too happy about it, but should be fine if we just continue on. We've got the Furies also rushing in there, getting on the fire rains, trying to shut them down. In general, these flying units, for me, are going to be very useful for chasing, routing stuff, especially as the Cultist gets to buff up their melee attack, right? Like, Furies already have pretty good attack and weapon strength, but to juice that up even more, especially to get through something like Jade Warriors, definitely is beneficial. It's also quite beneficial for the Blues, obviously, who do have flaming attacks and melee. You can see with that Wand of Whimsy there, up to 32 melee attacks, some extra weapon strength as well, plus the weakness to fire that it confers with Kindle Flame map-wide. I'm a big fan of the Tzeentchian Cultist, even though you don't see him super often. But Big Bird also, of course, is a great combatant, and having the Fury Summon makes him worth bringing even without spells, in my opinion. It's going to be a nice kind of anchor, not necessarily anchor, but kind of mobile strike piece to help shore this up. And of course, also gives 2 relatively expensive bid targets for Cathay to potentially shoot at, which kind of helps, especially with Barrier. And like I said, 10,000 base HP on the Cultist just means that they are going to both be pretty tough to kill between the flying and the Barrier. Well, flying on one, barrier on both, you know what I mean. But anyway, the Furies are just continuously trying to reinforce here as Lord of Change gets into an engagement where the Shugengan actually can potentially do some great damage to him. Pretty good stats, magic attacks, 440 weapon strength, 70 charge, bonus 70 armor. Shugengans are definitely functional hybrid lords in terms of cast or combat. They can definitely get it done, so we'll keep them kind of in the background as we look around the rest of the battlefield here. Jade Lancer's trying to come back from rout, but got plenty of Furies out in space, chasing routing units as well. This is not ideal. Cultist gets matched up against the Jade Halberds here, ends up taking a bunch of damage, but definitely has the mass to push through. A little Cascading Fire Cloak to buff up his melee defense momentarily while he tries to get out of that situation. Gonna see some nice Talons of the Night, again, from Rider of Rohan. Definitely a little overblobbed with these two horrors on the one Jade, so that's a pretty good sacrifice from him in terms of value, but Iron Hail's coming back, just get eaten up by Furies. That said, this Exalted Lord of Change here is taking pretty big damage at this point. I'm a little bit worried that he's going to get sniped by the Shugengun Lord, so going to screen her out with a bunch of infantry here. Also got to be careful of the Righteous Lances of Wei Jin. They don't have magic attacks, but just good stats overall, of course. 75 charge. So, since I figured I was going to get caught, pop that Cascading Fire Cloak on him once again. Just charge him down onto the ground. Thankfully, Rider of Rohan chose to intercept these Furies, which is definitely, I mean, maybe not definitely the right call, arguably the right call. I don't know, but he's going to do some damage to them without taking too much in return. I don't really want to actually take that fight, so I go ahead and just detach them back. And since they, you know, took a little bit of damage, got a little bit strung out by the Furies, I pop Exalted Lord of Change back up into the air. We've got the Cultist also en route to help fight the Shugengun Lord. He is a single entity with okay weapon strength, so he can help contribute in this fight a little bit. Not to mention, it's charged up 13% spell mastery, so he's got Fireball as well in this late game, potentially, to try and shoot the Shugengun if she pulls away. And that extra spell mastery, I had kind of discounted it a little bit. I haven't used the Tzeentch Shrine all that much, but it feels pretty good, honestly, as we'll see in a minute. But it's definitely still going to be tricky for me, I think. I've really got to use these Furies appropriately, and I've got a lot of targets to potentially go after, so I'm going to try and just pick out these most weakened Jade Warriors, I think, first. Yeah, looks like I actually missed the attack order there, unfortunately, but there's the juiced up Fireball. Yeah, really nice damage on that with the Spell Mastery. I have to say, I am a big fan. I was already a fan of the Tzeentch Cultist, to be honest, but I'm even more of a fan now. His summon's pretty good. I mean, summoning a pink is a nice kind of mid-value unit to summon. Lore of Fire is generally very strong. Wand of Whimsy is a ridiculous item that I think most people don't even realize exists. So if you Tzeentch enjoyers out there, this one's for you. And it's for me also, because I'm one of you. Definitely am an enjoyer of the Tzeentch. And yeah, with the blues and now the Furies able to kind of team up, start to shatter and rout, finish off a lot of these Jade Warriors. More fireballs landing on the Shugengun and some bombardments from the sky. Feeling pretty comfortable taking home the win here, so let's just get up in cinematic mode and watch as Shugengun tries to make her escape. But got the Furies on station, of course. Furies are absolute MVPs in this matchup for me. Yeah, in general, Tzeentch relies quite a bit on their flying mobility because you don't have any cheap ground-based mobility, right? Like your cheapest ground mobility unit is 700 cost Marauder Horsemen, which are not exactly cheap. They're pretty good, but it feels strong to have kind of this big anchor, single entity. Granted, Cathay can really skew pretty heavily into the shooting, but I feel like combining that with this flying mobility, being able to shut down their shooting pretty effectively. Also, you know, Screamers trade fairly well into cavalry. Cathay cavalry is not incredible. It is very cost-effective and decent, but yeah, Jade Lancers I was able to deal with fairly effectively here, even though the Screamers, one of them just got completely destroyed. 0-0-0, which is just amazing. Yeah, Exalted Lord of Change provides nice terror routes. He's a nice kind of component of this, although he is pretty expensive. The summon is also pretty decent as well. Cultist himself doesn't get a ton of value, but soaks a ton of damage, and the value of his support is kind of shown across the rest of these units, especially on these Furies, and the Blues particularly as well. Really helps them kind of punch up to be able to fight like Jade Warriors, and just in general, Cathay infantry in harmony. They tend to fare much better with that Wand of Whimsy helping them out, so it's definitely pretty decent from my perspective. It's been a while since I've used a build like this, and it worked out okay. Yeah, I mean, I will say, Rider of Rohan's not necessarily a Cathay main, so you could probably optimize this a little bit better with some different things. Personally, I'm a big fan of the Sentinel in this matchup, the Regiment of Renown Sentinel that can reflect shooting, because most Tzeentch shooting tends to be relatively short range. Everything besides the Soul Grinder or, you know, like magic missile spells. But it's definitely an interesting one. Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments down below. Hopefully you enjoyed that. If you did, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.